My name is Sawyer Carol, and I would like to talk to you about the polarizing issue of climate change. There are many polarizing arguments when it comes to climate change. The two I would like to talk about is the Green New Deal and carbon tax. The Green New Deal is a congressional plan for overcoming climate change. It plans to convince the United States from using greenhouse gas emissions and fossil fuels, and instead switch to clean energy by ensuring new high-paying jobs in the clean industry. The believers and non-believers both had conflicting opinions on whether the Green New Deal would work or not. This is not because of their conflicting evidence, but is rather because of their look at humanity's characteristics of transcendent through their optimism of humanity. Since both sides use scientific evidence that disputes each other's, I think the opinion side came down to what which side thinks about the transcendent characteristics of the human being. The believers had created plans and worked with other enthusiastic believers about the cause, even before the Green New Deal, showing how they think everyone, no matter the advantages, resources, or skills, or not, will want to do something important with their lives, to move beyond themselves and care about the world and all the good of it. The non-believers had went against the believers' view and were more enthusiastic about proving the believers wrong, to conflict with the new Green Deal in what they believe uh, was a way to find a more reasonable or better approach to climate change. We saw this ideal stems from the idea that people aren't all saints who want to make a picture-perfect world, but rather more interested in living a comfortable life and getting by. While these impeding philosophical views came down to what you believe as a whole, the human race is mainly focused on rather it being solving the world's biggest problems or just to live a comfortable life. We can assume the difference in what we think humans value could come down to past experiences or what we think of ourselves. Moving on to carbon tax, which is what the Center of Climate and Energy Solutions described as the government setting a price that emitters must pay for each ton of greenhouse gas emissions they emit. They said this will encourage businesses and consumers to take steps in changing from fuels to adopting new technologies in the hope to reduce emissions and avoid paying the tax. Reading through articles, I saw there were two very distinguished sides of this idea: the side for carbon tax and the side against it, both with reasonable reasons. Both sides finding it hard to compromise because of their differences in social and financial status in society, and how free of a human being they were based on these factors. People for carbon emissions are financially stable people, excluding the ones who run companies. They want what's best for their families, community, and the world, which they think are the most important things to protect, because they aren't affected by the money side of the carbon tax, and don't have the same problems as a person who isn't financially stable. This gives them a sense of freedom to make what they think are the best choices for the group, community, etc. People against carbon tax are less fortunate and not financially stable, who worry about their problems like making rent or being able to pay for the essentials. People in social and financial statuses like this, with different problems compared to someone financially stable, will concern money, safety, and individual choices overall as more important. Switching to cleaner energy would cost too much money for someone in this status. Because of their reluctance to get another tax, that would further send them down the social class status. They think that people need to be free to make their individual choices and are responsible for their consequences. Knowing that both sides are are from completely different worlds with different problems and different worldviews, I don't think they'll ever see eye to eye unless they're on the same page, which would only be possible if everyone was on the same footing, both financially and socially, or reasonably close to it. Climate change by itself has many other layers to its polarization arguments, but it all comes down to, are you able to sacrifice and put another hindrance on your life for the hope in a better world, or are you fine with the consequences and have bigger things in your life right now than the fantasy of stopping climate change? Both sides with equally fair reasons. These are the sites.